for the waffle has a big square in the middle with the Maryland M, and it looks like it's pretty deep because that's where all the syrup is. And then the 3 chicken tender pieces lay around the edges and then have some powdered sugar sprinkled on top. I've never had powdered sugar on my chicken.
I mean, it's involved. It's at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm assuming it'll taste good, but it is just something a little unique. I'm not sure that I've had much powdered sugar and
my
chicken.
whole thing was you're doing that during a game. Like, who's going to sit down and go, ooh, I'm at a college football game. You know, I'm really craving chicken and waffles. You get where I'm coming from with that?
Yeah, before the game. So you get into the stadium early enough that while the teams are on the field going through warm-ups, you have time to eat, and with the handy-dandy wipes that I'm sure they probably distribute with that, like you get at a rib place, you can clean your hands all up and not be sticky the rest of the game.
I promise you I will not be trying that.
No?
If I'm going to a sporting event, I'm not getting chicken and waffles.
You just want a plain old hot dog,
or
nachos?
Chicken tender and fries, or no, I'm not a nacho guy.
Not a nacho guy?
It's too messy.
All right.
At a game. Maybe that's it. I don't like nachos because it's too much going on. Maybe I'm not a fan of the chicken and waffles at a sporting event because there's just too much going on. I mean, looking at some of the baseball cuisine, we looked at some of that before the season started back in what seems like an eternity ago, but was really just a few months ago. And some of the stuff at ballparks, it's too much going on. If I'm going to go to a game, I want a hot dog and a thing of boardwalk fries. That's it. That's sporting event food.
I can agree. I like nachos. I like chicken tenders, something along those lines as well. A chicken sandwich.
And apparently whatever company gets or provides chicken tenders to sporting events, they're the most deluxe chicken tenders on the face of the planet, because I've never seen a chicken tender cost $10 before.
They would cost $10 at other locations if they could do that. Yeah. But when you have options that you don't have at a stadium, they can kind of charge you as a captive audience.
Yeah.
All right, we're going till 6:30 tonight till Washington Nationals baseball as they are in Philadelphia, trying to take care of the Phillies yet again. While we have a few minutes in this early segment before we turn our attention to football on the field as opposed to cuisine in the stands, let's talk a little baseball, because the Washington Nationals, and in particular Juan Soto, had a very fine day yesterday.
He did. He had 2 home runs in Game 2, including the game winner in Game number 2, but you were impressed by his doubleheader as a whole.
Yeah, just looking at what he did in both games, as the Nationals got a win in Game 1 and rallied to win Game 2. When I saw the score late in Game 2 and the Nationals down by a couple of runs, I'd already written them off as I was continuing through my evening, and then this morning realized, wait, they swept that doubleheader, and began to read. And of course, there's an article online that, is touting Juan Soto having a Rookie of the Year type season since he has come to the major leagues with the Nationals, a guy that started in Hagerstown back in April.
Now, and the only reason I'm thinking about this is because of who the opponent was for the Nationals. Is a Rookie of the Year your first, like, how many at-bats is it considered Rookie of the Year? Like, would Rhys Hoskins be considered a rookie this year? Or is he just not eligible for Rookie of the Year because of how late he came up last year?
Yeah, I would have to look it up. I don't know. It's a certain amount of games.
And that's what I would be interested in, because, I mean, obviously, thinking about what Rhys Hoskins has done the last year, just about year now, because he was a late call-up last year.
He came up in August.
Yeah. So a little bit over a year. So I'd be interested to figure or to read what the specifications would be to be a Rookie of the Year, whether, because baseball's a weird sport like that. That you have guys moving up and down throughout the year.
All right. While we hear some of the heroics of Juan Soto last night, I'll look that up and see if I have an answer on the other side.
Here's his first of 2 home runs yesterday. This was in the top of the 4th in the second game of the doubleheader. Here's Juan Soto's first home run from that game.
Here's the pitch to Soto. Swinging a high fly ball, deep right center field. This one is crushed. It's going, and long gone. Juan Soto hits one into the far corner of the Phillies bullpen, out of sight. home run number 17. Soto has driven in all 3 runs tonight for the Nationals. It's the Nationals 3 and the Phillies nothing.
So that was his first home run, and, well, again, it was a moonshot, as you heard in that call. Wasn't his most impressive home run. That home run came in the top of the 10th inning with this bomb.
The 0-1. Swinging a high drive, deep left center field. Herrera back to the warning track, to the wall. There it goes. Juan Soto has done it again. A towering opposite field home run number 18. It is Juan Soto's night here in Philadelphia. The Nationals are in front in extra innings, 7-6.
Juan Soto's winning home run in the top of the 10th after the Nationals scored 3 in the top of the 9th. I'm with you. I was getting ready to record my sportscast for the night because we send in sportscasts each morning for Rob Mario. Matt leaves one and I record one for the late games in the area, which is most of the time Nationals baseball. And I clicked my ESPN app and saw it's 6-3 in the top of the 9th. And I was this close just recording it and not worrying about it. And then I saw they had the bases loaded with 2 outs. And I went, all right, maybe there could be a little magic here. And sure enough, they go on to win.
I like the magic that we're seeing. Again, I want to see the fight out of this team, and you're seeing that fight.
You would have liked to have seen the fight earlier.
I know. It's something
I know you're excited. I get it. But
Davey Martinez talked about it all year, and that fight continues. They were marred with injuries. They didn't play well. They underachieved. And now at least they're going out swinging, so to speak. So, hopefully.
Wouldn't you rather them be going into the postseason swinging?
Well, that would be nice.
Congratulations. You disappointed everybody this year, but way to end. It's not even ending strong.
Well,
you're ending strong in a failure.
Left. So let's see if they can finish strong over these next 2 weeks. Man, you're such a pessimist.
They're just numb. They're numb to me right now.
The glass is still half full.
No,
it's not half
empty. It can't
empty.
be half. After this season, it cannot be half full.
It's still half full.
1 game over 500 with 2 weeks left to play. How can your glass still be half full?
Still half full.
With this team.
Because they
90 wins plus
they still
the
have
last 2 years.
Still have
possibility of what?
Possibility. Going into next year.
Well, okay, well, they're going to have that regardless whether they lose the rest of the time or win the rest of the time. I stumped him. That's a victory.
I'm just thinking of your being in first and my being in second in our pick'ems, and you see, it's all perspective. See, I still have hope. You're at the top, so if you're not at the top, you
ain't first, you're last.
Well, see, and that's it. And I'm telling you, that's not true. All right, before we have to take our break, thanks to our crack research staff, also known as Caleb Falero, he handed me a sheet of paper verifying at least a portion of what I did find online. A player shall be considered a rookie unless during a previous season or seasons he has A, exceeded 130 at-bats, or 50 innings pitched in the major leagues, or B, accumulated more than 45 days on the active roster of a major league club or clubs during the period of 25-player limit. All right?
So, in my example, Rhys Hoskins would not be a rookie this year.
It doesn't sound like it based on...
Because he played for 45 calendar days last year.
What we're looking at...
And he probably had close to 130 at-bats.
I'm sure, based on the numbers that he put up, I would imagine so. So, no, he would not be eligible, which is a shame.
Because he's been...
He certainly has been deserving when you look at a full year of what he has done. But certainly right now, Juan Soto punching his name onto the ballot, at least, to be considered as a Rookie of the Year.
And I think making it a lot easier for the Nationals not to break the bank on Bryce Harper.
Wow. And we'll talk about that maybe at another time as the season wraps up. Right now, we got to get in a break. When we come back, we'll start talking a little high school football on Miller Time.
Get a little higher.
Healthcare in America is changing. In the past, disability and chronic illness often meant the end to independent living. Now, technological advances and the skill and dedication of home care professionals enable more than 11 million of our neighbors to maintain the dignity and independence they treasure. This is Lisa Bivens, Executive Director at Panhandle Home Health, your local home health experts for more than 40 years. If you, your loved one, or neighbors need home health care, call Panhandle Home Health at 304-263-5680 or on the web at panhandlehomehealth.org.
Who should you call when it comes to your real estate legal needs?
This is Chris Luttrell, local real estate attorney with offices in Martinsburg and Charlestown. Let's be direct. Buying or selling your home is a matter not to be taken lightly. At my firm, Luttrell LLC, we possess the experience and knowledge to represent you and ensure your most important investment is protected. Give us a call at 304-267-3050, 304-267-3050, because at Luttrell LLC, your home is our business.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Martavis Bryant split with the Raiders, maybe a short one. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reports the Raiders are nearing a one-year deal with Bryant, and he could play as soon as this Sunday. The Raiders released a receiver earlier this month because he is facing a possible suspension, which is still pending. The Panthers' season-opening win over the Cowboys was a costly one. Pro Bowl tight end Greg Olsen fractured his foot and is expected to miss several months, while starting right tackle Darrell Williams suffered a knee injury that will require surgery. Elsewhere, the Falcons placed linebacker Deion Jones on injured reserve with a foot injury, while Seahawks receiver Doug Baldwin could miss several weeks with a knee injury, according to head coach Pete Carroll. And the Patriots signed former Browns first-round pick Corey Coleman Tuesday, while the Eagles worked out a pair of ex-first-rounders in quarterbacks Paxton Lynch and receiver Brashad Perriman. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
I used to post to job boards that sent me tons of resumes.
Just to find a few people who were right for my job.
That old process was not smart.
Then I went to ZipRecruiter.
Its technology scans resumes for me to find the right people.
And actively invites them to apply. So I get qualified candidates fast. Smart.
See why ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. Try it now for free at ZipRecruiter.com/find. That's ZipRecruiter.com/find. ZipRecruiter. The smartest way to hire. Based on Trustpilot rating of hiring sites with over 1,000 reviews.
I used to have a sweet tooth. Had it removed when I was a kid. So what do I crave instead of chocolate? A big red box from Grainger. Grainger satisfies my craving for great customer service. With 24/7 support, effortless ordering, and same-day pickup or next-day delivery options. No busy signals, no cavities. I love Grainger. You know why? Because when it comes to reliable product and technical support, Grainger's got your back. Call or click Grainger.com to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Yeah, a couple of well-dressed men in our WRNR black polos. I got the orange and white. You got the red and white lettering today. Looking good, though.
For spiffy. You got the nice orange shirt to go with the orange.
Spiffy.
I know you're into the attire. I know it's one of your favorite parts of a game broadcast, doing baseball season with you. You'd get really into describing what the uniforms were. And going through football season, you're the same way.
Right at the beginning of the game.
Yep, talk about the piping in certain places.
You're painting the picture. Yeah. You want your audience that's not there to understand what you are seeing.
I get it. I understand. I wasn't making fun of you. I was just saying I know that's one of your favorite parts of the pregame getting into the game.
The black polo with the black undershirt, the white and red lettering, and the backwards baseball cap. You got all of that.
Yep.
There it is. That's Matt Crawford as he sits here.
People can see that if they're watching our YouTube TV.
There you go, WRNR TV on YouTube. All right, let's jump into high school football. The Martinsburg Bulldogs and the Spring Mills Cardinals. First EPAC matchup for the Dogs, who are off to a 3-0 start and coming off a 47-0 victory against Eastern last week. As opposed to hearing from head coach David Walker, which we might normally do, today we're going to hear from defensive coordinator Buddy Hessen and special forces coordinator Britt Sherman. We usually hear from them on Miller time the day of the game.
But alas, we will not have a Miller time the day of the game.
That's tomorrow because the game time has been moved to 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. So in lieu of Miller time, we'll have the official pregame at 5 and the kickoff at 6 tomorrow. So
all sorts of messed up due to a hurricane.
I know. It's amazing. And now the Hurricanes' track has shifted just a little, and we may not get as much rain as they were thinking. That'll be nice.
That will be nice. It'll be nice to not have the 10 inches of rain that was originally expected. I know you're you're relaxing a little bit now.
Just a little, maybe. But still a good decision, right? I mean, athletic directors, coaches had to determine what was going to happen and figure that out and figure it out now in order to move.
That's not a last-minute decision you want to make.
No. And you can't make that last-minute decision in football. There's just too much involved.
Yeah, there's too much gear moving. There's too much practice time needed and all that. And you're used to only playing baseball and basketball. You're playing multiple games a week anyway. It doesn't matter.
Let's shift it one day, and we'll make that decision today.
So a good call nonetheless.
Absolutely. All right, so let's hear from the defensive coordinator. This is Buddy Hessen, starting first of all with what he saw in his team's win against Eastern last week.
I was pleased with our performance. I put some pressure on the back half, because I was bringing 5, 6, just about every play, and that was my game plan to pressure them, and, I didn't want that quarterback getting out and running around on us, and we did a good job with that.
Were you pleased, even though you gave up a couple of big pass plays, with the way that back half played?
Yeah, I mean, our kids get a little discouraged, but, I mean, they were good. They had some athletes, their teams are going to make plays, and being the DB, it's just like being a pitcher. You'll give up home runs. You just got to forget about it and play the next play, in which, we always preach.
How do you feel you did in being able to contain Jalen Young? He was able to get out of the pocket a few times, but what did you think overall?
For the most part, I thought we did a good job. I think early on, we blew an assignment here or there. I would pressure from one side, and, the defensive end or whomever on the other side would peek inside. And with a kid like that, all it takes is you peeking inside, and he's got the corner on you. But after that, we adjusted, and I think we did a good job keeping him contained.
As you turn your attention to Spring Mills, is it good to play a quarterback like you just saw because of the style of quarterback and the style of offense that you'll see from the Cardinals this week?
It is. I mean, it's the same type of offense. I mean, a running quarterback, he'll run around. He can make things happen with his legs. So, I mean, our game plan is going to be somewhat similar to last week.
What else are you seeing in them? I'm looking at their stats. They don't seem to produce a lot in the running game.
Well, I think the majority of the run game is the quarterback designing runs or just him taking off. And but again, I mean, our whole deal is stop the run and make teams one-dimensional. And when we do that, typically we have some success.
What has this week been like, playing on a Thursday night instead of the Friday night, and kind of in the beginning of the week wondering when you might play based on the hurricane?
Well, I mean, it's been screwy the last couple of weeks with the weather. We've had to adjust some things, but I go back to my playing days playing under Joe Castile. And he would say, guys, I don't care if Rick Rodriguez calls, when he was at Glenville, calls us at 3 a.m. and wants to play us in the parking lot, better be ready to play. And that's that's how I go about things. It doesn't matter when and where, whenever it is, we need to be ready to play.
Does a sloppy field benefit one side of the ball or the other? As a guy who's on the defensive side, does it help you or does it hinder you?
Well, playing on turf, the field's not going to be real sloppy. Even now, it might be a little wet. I don't think so. I mean, both teams practicing, both teams playing it. I mean, you'll see some people complain, well, we can't do this because of rain, we can't do that. We have the same game plan whether it's wet or dry. So, I mean, we're going to go out and do what we do.
Coach, good luck. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
There you hear from Martinsburg defensive coordinator Buddy Hessen heading into the matchup against Spring Mills tomorrow night. Again, games being played on Thursday this week. While we have a few minutes, let's quickly jump to Special Forces and hear from Britt Sherman as the team had a strong opening kick return, no mistakes, and it helped to lead to an opening scoring drive.
They did. It was about time. They had a few games where they had big blunders in special teams, and last week was a pretty fundamentally sound special teams game for the Bulldogs.
Let's hear from Coach Sherman.
That's pretty good. Trey Symes, our player of the week. I got Grant Hardman in there on kick return. They were pretty much squib kicking it. So he got in and actually did something right on our opening kickoff. So we were able to actually do something this week with that. But I was pleased overall. We had a kicker injury, so Grant tried to fill in a little bit with some PATs, but those got kind of interesting at times.
So is your kicker back this week, or is it still going to be interesting?
It's still going to be interesting because he's back, but they also play a soccer game on Thursday night since we moved the game, so we won't have his duties.
So he's back but not available. So are you back to Grant Harmon kicking, or are you looking at some two-point conversions?
It's going to be interesting.
All right. How about the other parts of your game, the punt rush, the punt return?
I mean, pretty good. I mean, punt rush, we got a block. Trey got a hand on a ball, and Bryce Moore's caught it in the air and, tried to return it. And, we've not had a whole lot of success with returns because the ball's not been getting back there to us for punts. But other than that, everything else is looking pretty solid.
What are you seeing in the special teams out of Spring Mills and the importance in this game?
It's the first time we've actually got to scout somebody that, we see some film on them and actually be able to put together a game plan. So, they have solid special teams and, they do a pretty good job. So, they had a big return against a couple teams. So, we'll have to definitely contain them.
Coach, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Matt.
There you hear from Special Forces Coordinator Britt Sherman of the Martinsburg Bulldogs, heading into a matchup against Spring Mills tomorrow night at 6. Our pregame coverage at 5. Martinsburg is 5-0 against Spring Mills. So the Cardinals looking for their first win against the Martinsburg Bulldogs and looking for it under first-year head coach Chad Williams.
It's going to be a tall task. I'll just leave it at that. Well, I think Spring Mills has made some steps in the right direction this year. I still think it's going to be a few years before Chad Williams can get that program at a level to compete with what Martinsburg's at right now.
Well, when you consider last year's final 56-0, that's a lot of points to overcome in 1 year.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's a big hill to climb in 365 days. So it'll be tough, but anything can happen. It's football.
We will hear from Chad Williams on the other side of this break at the bottom of the hour, and of course our tomorrow's date in sports history that comes up next on Miller Time.
Why can't you be true? You done started doing the thing.
CBS News update. More than 10 million people in the Carolinas and Virginia are under storm watches or warnings as Hurricane Florence takes aim on the coast.
It's the unknown that we're worried about, and not knowing what's coming and when it'll come and how it'll come.
That man boarded up his home on North Carolina's Outer Banks, hoping it survives the storm. Forecasters say Florence could be the storm of a lifetime for parts of the Carolina coast. CBS News meteorologist David Parkinson.
There will be parts of the coastline in North Carolina that will be remade forever. There will be new inlets cut. There will be breaches. It's a really serious situation on the coast, and that's the critical need for the evacuation.
South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster continues to urge people to evacuate.
300,000 plus people already have done it. The highways are moving smoothly. The lane reversals are working very well, and we're getting people out of harm's way.
CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
Comfortable temperatures this evening in the 70s despite the humidity that's around, and a couple of areas seeing a shower here and there, but generally speaking, drier than not. And we'll see early morning lows back to about 70 degrees. Redeveloping showers tomorrow afternoon, again kind of scattered with daytime highs upper 70s to near 80. And then more concentrated rain develops for the weekend with Hurricane Florence. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio, WRNR.
Life is complicated, but your finances shouldn't have to be. At BCT, we simplify your financial life. Bank of Charlestown is a locally owned community bank with 7 conveniently located offices serving the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, Middleburg, Virginia, and their newest office in Hagerstown, Maryland. With over 140 years of experience, BCT is the tri-state area's choice for fast, convenient, and hassle-free banking solutions. Whether you are a high school senior looking for a student checking account, a college graduate purchasing a new car, a first-time home buyer, or investing for retirement, BCT has flexible solutions to fit your lifestyle. BCT is committed to providing everyday ways to simplify your financial life. Also, make sure you are following BCT on Twitter and Instagram at MyBCT or like their Facebook page to see how BCT reinvests local deposits back into the communities they serve. BCT, we simplify your financial life.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
We can call it injury report Wednesday. Devontae Freeman for the Falcons not practicing due to a knee issue. Devontae Adams didn't practice today. It's an undisclosed injury. Aaron Rodgers also did not practice, although he says he is trending to be able to play against Minnesota this week. Panthers lose some offensive talent. Darrell Williams, right tackle, IR. Trey Turner, right guard, concussion, not able to practice. Kenneth Dixon done until at least week 11, placed on the IR by the Ravens. Rex Burkhead, concussion protocol, and Eric Berry still dealing with that heel injury that forced him to miss game number 1, not practicing as well. On the diamond, Dodgers avoid a sweep and beat the Reds 8-1. Jock Peterson a home run. How about Blake Snell? Another big win, 7 consecutive starts as the Rays beat the Indians 3-1. I'm Keith Irizarry, and this is NBC Sports Radio.
Let's see. Load the clothes in the washing machine. Add detergent. Turn on the washer. Wait, where's all this water coming from? Oh, no!
Disasters happen. Fire, water, and natural disasters. Tell your insurance provider you prefer Blue Ridge Property Restore. Blue Ridge Property Restore, getting you back from disaster faster.
She's gonna kill me.
Hi, honey.
Where are you?
I've been in line at the post office for the last 30 minutes.
Why are you at the post office? It'll take you all day.
Where else do I go to ship my packages or drop FedEx off at?
Honey, going postal is way faster, has less lines, and friendly service.
Where's going postal?
It's right in the Commons Shopping Center in Martinsburg. They'll ship your packages quickly, and you can avoid the lines.
Going postal should be your first choice for all your shipping needs. Going postal, the Commons, Martinsburg.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time on this Wednesday evening along with Matt Crawford. I'm Matt Miller. It's
like Tim the Toolman Taylor over there.
What's that?
Trying to figure out how much trim you need. And
trying to figure out lengths and widths and put the two together. Do I need one 10-foot piece or do I need 2 pieces because I won't have enough once I cut the one piece down?
Well, that depends. How much you need total lengthwise?
Well, that's what I'm estimating here. If I need about 78 inches for one, that only leaves me so much left, and I don't think it's going to be enough. I'm going to have 2 pieces.
There is no wood stretcher. Just remember that.
No, and as you use the reference of Tim the Toolman Taylor, if I'm anything like him, I'll need the extra piece anyway because I'll find a way to screw up one of them.
Yeah.
That tends to be how it goes sometimes in the projects around my house. I'm trying to seal off the rest of a back door that I replaced before we get into potential heavy rains.
No, they're not going to be that heavy. Don't worry about it.
Well, that's the thing. Keeping an eye on the hurricane now. It looks like it's tracking a little more to the south and maybe going west as opposed to hitting and coming up the coast, although those things are unpredictable, right? Yeah. So we'll see. But what it means is high school football has been moved from Friday to Thursday, and so that's what we're doing, previewing the matchups. We started with Martinsburg at Spring Mills. We heard from the defensive coordinator and special forces coordinators of Martinsburg. Coming up, we'll hear from Spring Mills head coach. But first, cue the music. Not yesterday, not today, but tomorrow's date in sports history.
Taking a look at Thursday the 13th. Is that the lucky day? If Friday's unlucky, does that mean Thursday can be lucky?
I guess it can be.
We're going to make it lucky.
Unless you have triskaidekaphobia.
Is that a fear of the number 13?
The number 13.
You know a lot of hotels don't have a 13th floor?
I have heard that.
And I never remember to look when I'm staying at a hotel.
Does it really matter?
No. Because if you stay on floor 14, it'll still be
It's 13.
Yeah. They just didn't label it 13.
So if you're that person, do you stay off the 14th floor?
I would. 1983, Hugh Daly, a one-arm pitcher for Cleveland, Forest City at that point, tosses a 1-0 no-hitter against the Philadelphia A's.
Say that one more time. What year?
1883.
I thought you said 19 at first. I'm going 1983. I was old enough to remember that.
You're old, but I don't think you're quite that old.
Well, it's fascinating you bring that up of the one-armed pitcher.
Did you watch that game or something?
I did not, but just the other night I saw where it was the anniversary of Jim Abbott throwing a no-hitter with the New York Yankees. Yep. And if you remember Jim Abbott at all, was born without one hand. It was always fascinating to watch him pitch, how he held the glove, pitched, and then got the glove on quick enough to be able to play defensively as a pitcher. It was very impressive.
You'll like this one, because you and I both like this style of baseball. 1909, Ty Cobb clinches the AL home run title with his 9th home run of the year. That's not the best part. All 9 were inside the park.
Nice.
Think about it, though. Babe Ruth came in the late teens and early 20s of the 1900s, correct? So in 1909, just a few years earlier, the home run record was 9.
But remember,
and they were all in the park.
Ballparks were huge back in those days.
They were huge when Babe Ruth played in them.
Well, I know. They were still pretty big, but, you know, I mean, you had 430-foot dead center fields and stuff like that. I mean, you get a ball in a gap or over the head of the center fielder. If you've got speed, you can run for days.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I still think it's pretty impressive.
It is. I'll give it to you.
Judge Landis sells World Series broadcast rights to Henry Ford and the Ford Motor Company for $100,000.
What date?
I was getting there. That was in 1934.
34.
In 1938, Alexander Cartwright is inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Matt, you know who Alexander Cartwright is? He's the inventor of modern baseball. 1942, Cubs shortstop Leonard Morello makes 4 errors in 1 inning. 1946, the Red Sox clinch the AL pennant on tomorrow's date in sports history. Pretty similar to now, where they clinched a playoff spot last night. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, they are certainly the team to beat going into the playoffs.
Yeah, they're rolling a little bit. 1969, Willie Mays hits his 500th home run in the midst of a 11-game win streak for the Giants. So having a good year and a good year personally and a good year for the Giants that year. 1969, we landed on the moon that year. Bobby Bonds is also baseball's 4th player to have 30 home runs and 30 steals in a season. 1970, the first New York City Marathon is won by Gary Merck in 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 38 seconds. You would have thought that New York City Marathon would have been before 1970. I would have thought it would have been before that.
I just still am amazed that people want to run for 24 miles.
Yeah, I don't want to run.
Take a taxi.
1991, Joe Carter's the first baseball player with 3 consecutive 100 RBI seasons with 3 different teams. Can you name those 3 teams? That was your era, Joe Carter.
Oh, my goodness. The Blue Jays is where he had a ton of success.
That was the last team.
Right. So
before that, it was the Padres. And the Indians.
Nice.
The Giants trailing the Dallas Cowboys 34-0 would come back to win 35-34 in 1992.
That's a big comeback.
That's a big comeback. 1999, the number 7, John Elway, is retired by the Denver Broncos. That would be the number 7, not the actual human being.
He had already decided.
Yeah, he had already decided that he was going to hang it up. And that is your look at tomorrow in sports history. So impress your friends, impress your coworkers with some knowledge of what's going on in the world of sports tomorrow.
One more tidbit before we jump into a conversation with Spring Mills head coach Chad Williams. My dad chimed in, airplanes don't have row 13 either.
Really?
So there's another part of the fear of the number 13 or triskaidekaphobia.
Planes don't have a 13th row?
He flies enough that I will trust
I know he probably flies enough
so,
doing all that stuff.
But I will not question.
No, I've never noticed.
I know. I never really paid attention either, to be honest.
Fun facts all around.
Well, let's continue to talk Martinsburg and Spring Mills as the Cardinals host the Bulldogs tomorrow night at 6 as the game moved up a day with the threat of rains and winds from Hurricane Florence. We heard earlier from the Bulldogs side of things. Let's hear from the Cardinals, who are off to a 2-1 start, coming off a 49-12 win against Hampshire last week. Here is head coach Chad Williams.
I thought we played a great first half last week. I thought the second half left a lot to be desired. But, overall, 42-6 at the half, obviously very pleased with that score. Would have liked to see us keep our focus a little bit better and come out of the locker room a little bit better. And we had way too many penalty yards. Obviously we need to get a little bit more disciplined in what we're doing out there.
I know when we talked to you last week, you said you wanted to create an atmosphere that made the home fans want to come back for 4 more games. How'd you feel playing at home for the first time?
It was different. We had about a 2-hour lightning delay. Of course, the weather was terrible, so obviously the people that were there really wanted to be there. So it was great to see that many people did manage to stick through the weather delay that we had. You hoped that this week you'd have a little bit nicer weather to get some more people out, but, it kind of looks like probably more of the same on Thursday. We're kind of still waiting on that, but, you can only play with the hand that you're dealt, and, I do hope that even though we're playing Thursday at 6 o'clock, strange time, probably not the best weather, that we can still get a pretty good, decent crowd out here and create a pretty good atmosphere.
The announcement as far as the time change just coming on this Tuesday, does that make it more challenging knowing that you've now lost a day of preparation and you have to be ready on Thursday instead of Friday?
I don't really think so. We'll adjust our week. Monday was going to be what Monday is regardless. I don't think I've changed my routine on a Monday practice in the 12 years that I've been doing this. No, I don't really think it changes anything. We were well aware, just as Martinsburg was too, that it was a very realistic possibility that we might not get to play this game Friday night and they play Thursday. It wasn't official yet, but, I think everybody, just seeing pretty much every game in the Panhandle get moved, I think everybody kind of had it in their mind that Thursday was a pretty good likelihood.
You and Coach Walker meeting up for an East Hardy rematch. Do you have any relationship with Coach Walker?
Yeah. It's been really helpful to me throughout my career. Just a guy that, I've been able to consult with. We don't talk a ton, but, when I do get a chance to talk, he's been able to answer a lot of questions for me. He was really a good resource for me to have, even in the move up here, just knowing that, he made the same move from Hardy County to Berkeley County 20 years ago and was able to tell me a lot about the differences and some of the things that he did getting his program off the ground 20 years ago. So, yeah, he's always been, in certain ways, I guess, a little bit of a mentor. And, and then there are some other East Hardy connections there on the Martinsburg staff with, of course, the Sherman boys, Trent, the principal, and then Britt, the assistant coach, are both cousins to my fiance, and they're both from that area. I see a lot of them around East Hardy. Used to work with her mother, who was a great lady. So, yeah, there's a little bit of connection to that staff, definitely. And, I've always really respected and admired what they do.
With all of that in mind and knowing the tradition that Coach Walker has built there at Martinsburg, how much do you look forward to this matchup?
Oh, I'm excited. I've only gotten the chance to coach against Martinsburg one time before, and that would be going all the way back to when I was an assistant coach at Fairmont Senior, and we met them in the state semifinals, which it would have been my last game before I went to East Hardy, 40-0 drubbing that they gave us in that semifinal game. Obviously a little bit different circumstances now, coming back in as the head coach and knowing that this is going to be a team that we see every year. Of course, regardless of what level of football you're coaching at, you can't really turn on any football news across the state or get on Tailgate or Metro News or anything without seeing something about Martinsburg. So, I've seen a lot about them, read a lot about them. Now we're just excited to get out there and compete with them, and and eventually, eventually somebody in this conference is going to have to beat them, and you just kind of hope that's us.
Well, Coach, we wish you the best in the game. Thank you so much, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
All right. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Chad Williams, in his first year leading the Spring Mills Cardinals, off to a 2-1 start. It's a team averaging 40-plus points a game, and they had a lead on Musselman in the first half of Game 1 before the Applemen came through in the second half in a strong way and went on for a 45-21 victory, the only loss that Spring Mills has suffered. So they play a style that's going to be similar to what Martinsburg plays. I guess the question is, can they match up right now?
I don't think so. Again, I think they're trending in the right direction. I like what they're doing over there so far, but I just don't think they're quite, again, like you said, they lost 56-0 last year. That turnaround would be historic if they could come back 1 year after getting shut out by 56 points and come back and win. I think it'll be a closer game this year. I just don't think they're quite at that level yet.
But you like what you hear when Chad Williams says, hey,
Somebody's
at some
gotta
point in
beat him.
time,
Yep.
it's going to happen.
Yep.
Why not us?
It's a good attitude to have, and a good attitude that you want your kids to have, too.
Absolutely. All right. I think we'll hold our next two matchups for our next half hour. So from 6 to 6:30, we'll look into the Jefferson-Hedgesville game and then the Washington Heritage game. So up next, let's hear from a team that didn't have to worry about the weather. The Musselman Applemen.
Fighting Apple people.
They're on a bye this week.
Worked out pretty well for them.
It certainly did. They get practice, they get healthy, and they come back without having to think about moving games around. We'll hear from head coach Brian Thomas next on Miller Time.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right, Mama. Anyway, do.
It's Ram Truck Month at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Martinsburg, and that means great deals all over the lot, like 2018 Ram trucks with up to $12,500 off. Stop by and inquire about the no money down specials and no payments for 90 days. Yet other great deals like 2019 Dodge Grand Caravans from $26,900 or a 2019 Chrysler Pacifica for 0% APR plus $500 Chrysler Capital Cash. With over 300 trucks, SUVs, vans, and cars in stock, you'll find just what you're looking for during Ram Truck Month at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Kelly Island Road, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. All payments based on approved credit, taxes, tags, and processing fees extra. See dealer for details. Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved at Rotary.org.
I'm Joe Ferretti of Ferretti Law Office. The most common question I hear from people injured in an automobile wreck or because someone else was at fault is, can their insurance company do that? If you call Ferretti Law Office at 264-8505, I will answer that question and other questions you have for free. Get educated and get ready to fight back. Call 264-8505 to protect your rights and get the compensation you deserve. Put my 31 years of personal injury and trial experience to work for you. At Ferretti Law Office, we're here to help.
Remember that last trip to the auto mechanic?
I also think your solenoid gasket is bad.
What?
Yep, that'll be another $500.
Forget that and go to D&N Auto Specialist at 230 Tavern Road, Martinsburg, where honesty is their best policy. Serving the Eastern Panhandle since 1974, D&N Auto is family-owned and operated, specializing in exhaust alignments and tires. From general maintenance to major overhauls, they'll treat you right. Call D&N Auto Specialist at 304-267-4078. Some good college
Marching
fight
band
song
music.
Football marching music, yeah.
And it's okay to play this because West Virginia beat the tar out of Tennessee.
Plus, it just sounds good.
It does.
It's just a neat sound. All right, we'll talk a little college and NFL football after news at the top of the hour. As we get into the 6 o'clock hour, Matt and I have to do our pick'ems for this week. If you recall, we looked at the results yesterday, and Matt has a record of 12-5. I am in second place at 7-10. And in third place, nobody. It's just the two of us. So as Matt
that
likes
would
to remind me,
you were in what place?
I am in second place.
If you're not in first, you're in.
I am in second because I am right behind the leader.
Yes, but if you're in the furthest place down you can go, what does that make you?
Second, because there's only 2 spots.
You're in last, man. You're in last.
Second.
It's still early. I'll give you that. We got a long way to go.
And a short time to get there. I'm eastbound. Just watch old Bandit run.
Rest in peace, Bandit.
All right, let's quickly hear from Musselman's head coach, Brian Thomas. The Applemen off to a 3-0 start to the season. They scored a muddy win last Saturday, 22-0 at Jefferson, and thankfully are on a bye this week, not having to worry so much about the pending hurricane. We got a chance to catch up with Coach Thomas and ask him about the time off.
You look at our game from last week, maybe I didn't pick a good week to have a bye because we got sloppier last week than probably anybody else in the state. But our kids were saying that yesterday. They were saying, man, we're kind of lucky just because, we're going to get pounded this week, and it's not really a need for us to go out and put ourselves through all this mess when we know when we don't have to look at an opponent on Friday.
All right, let's talk about what you saw from your team. It was a muddy mess in a rainy situation on Saturday at Jefferson. 22-0, you did get the victory. So clearly, while you're maybe a little disappointed, you had to see some good things.
Oh, yeah, definitely saw some good things in our team. I mean, early on, I said, I don't know if anybody's going to score just because it was that sloppy. And, it's really about just being smart, playing together as a team, not making that many mistakes. And I was really happy to see, our team protect the football despite the conditions. And at the same time, we were smart enough to make the plays we needed to win the game.
Going into that bye week, you have just about a quarter of your season behind you. What is the emphasis in this bye week?
Work on little things and stay healthy. That's kind of what we talked to the team about yesterday. We watched film yesterday, and we pointed out a lot of things that, we're not doing well. I mean, there's things that, maybe I shouldn't say not doing well, but things we can fix. We're 3-0, but, we still have a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of things that we have to get better at. And we about that yesterday. We didn't practice yesterday, but, we're going to practice, the next 3 days. And there's a lot of things that we can kind of get back to fundamentals and kind of go back to some drill work and get better at. And also at the same time, we want to stay healthy. The injury bug hadn't hit us. We've been pretty good, but, there's some little bumps and bruises that we can clean up and we can take care of some kids and get back to where we're 100%.
I know coaches are different when it comes to bye weeks. Do you take a look at your next opponent during this bye week, or is it just a week to kind of fix things like you had just mentioned?
A little bit of both. I think you can kind of look ahead a little bit, and see some teams down the schedule, and you can kind of work on those things, but at the same time, fix yourself. I mean, I think that's kind of that's a good question, just because it's tough because every team's different, and every team I look at a little bit different. Our group this year, I'm worried more about ourselves and fixing our mistakes, but at the same time, today's practice we really worry about ourselves, and then tomorrow, without telling the kids, we're going to start looking at some different stuff down the road, and they might not even realize what we're doing or who we're talking about, but we'll put some stuff on paper where we think we can work on some teams down the road.
Coach, final question, and that is, you mentioned those things to work on. How nice is it to be 3-0, knowing that you still have those things to work on? This team's off to a good start and can get better.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. Knowing that, I think it's probably every coach's dream. You're sitting there undefeated, but at the same time, you can watch film with the kids and say, hey, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. And then after the film goes off, you can say, hey, we're 3-0 and we won this game and that game. But you can see by watching film, we're not doing everything perfect. And I think that lets the kids know too that we have that room for growth. So I think to answer your question, it's every coach's dream. We'll win in the games, and ultimately that's the goal. But at the same time, we don't get complacent, our heads don't get big, and we understand that there's a lot of room for improvement going forward.
Coach, thank you for your time. Enjoy this bye week.
Hey, thanks, guys.
And that is Brian Thomas, head coach of the Musselman Applemen, who, by the way, Matt, I'm not sure that you would be aware of this. I am pulling it up on my phone as we speak so that I can give you the official totals. The Musselman Applemen are number 2 in the state in AAA this week.
In the power rankings?
in the official WVSSAC rankings.
Really?
The WVSSAC rankings, here's how it works. You get a certain number of points for beating a like team. So a AAA beats a AAA.
And then you get a bonus point for every win that opponent had against a AAA team.
So if they go 9-1 and all 9 wins are against AAA teams, you're getting 9 bonus points along with the 12 points that you get for beating them. They tally it all up, divide by the number of games played, and they begin those rankings here in week 3. I think it's early, way too early personally, but there are 7 teams right now that are undefeated. One of them, Wheeling Park's only played 2 games as they had an early bye. The rest of the teams are 3-0, and Musselman is number 2 right now, only behind John Marshall. Then it's Capital, Wheeling Park, Spring Valley, Huntington, and Martinsburg at number 7. They're the lowest ranked of the current undefeated teams. Then you look at the other local schools, and you've got Hedgesville and Spring Mills, who are both 2-1. They're tied right now for 12th in Class AAA.
Not too bad.
So, yep, 4 teams out of the Eastern Panhandle right there in the top 12 in the early going-in Class AAA. So those teams playing each other as we now get into the middle portion of the season certainly will be a lot of fun. All right, coming up, we'll preview Jefferson at Hedgesville, Washington at Heritage, and it's our Pick'em segment as we continue with more Miller Time on Talk Radio, WRNR Martinsburg. It's 6 o'clock.
Here's your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. 26-year-old Sarah Carter of Martinsburg was sentenced Monday to more than 3 years in prison for her role in a drug distribution operation. That's according to U.S. Attorney Bill Powell. Carter pled guilty to 1 count of aiding and abetting possession with intent to distribute heroin back in February of this year. She worked with others to distribute the stuff in Berkeley County in November of 2016. West Virginia U.S. Senator Shelley Moore Capito announced that this fall she'll be hosting 4 Academy Days for West Virginia students interested in learning more about admission to U.S. service academies and available ROTC scholarships. The Academy Day for the Eastern Panhandle will be Saturday, September 29th from 2 to 4 p.m. at Jefferson High School. Impeachment proceedings for the 3 remaining justices on the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals began Tuesday in the state Senate, and not only will all of them be tried starting next month, a justice who resigned last month will be as well. I'm Adam Boardman, Talk Radio WRNR News.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
Cloudy and humid this evening with any showers gradually tapering off and lows in the morning only back to about 70 degrees. We'll see some late night fog that'll linger into the first part of tomorrow. Again, pretty overcast. Temperatures upper 70s to possibly 80 degrees. Better chance of a later afternoon thundershower, and then rain develops late Friday into the weekend. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio, WRNR.
It's Martinsburg Bulldog football.
3 receivers out to the wide side left with the ball on the near side hash mark as Banks takes that snap, hands it off. Grantham off the right side of the line quickly into the secondary, gets a downfield block from Kello. Tenenbaugh cuts to his right and into the end zone for the Martinsburg Bulldog touchdown on the second play from scrimmage. Grantham goes 26 yards for the score.
This Thursday, the Bulldogs travel to Spring Mills to take on the Cardinals in their first road trip of the season. Pre-game at 5, kickoff at 6 p.m. right here on Talk Radio WRNR, your local leader in talk, news, sports.
You're at a red light. Sometimes it seems like they never change. You wish you could magically turn that red light green. I'm Lori from Bechtel Jewelers. I can't help you with the street lights, but I can help you if you happen to have red lights at home. Red lights at home are even more frustrating than red lights on the street. No matter what you do or say, she gives you the red light. Is it possible to change that red light to green? I have incredible news. Unlike red lights on the street, you really can turn red lights at home into green. Put our light-changing gifts to the test. Stop in at Bechtel Jewelers. In minutes, we'll send you on your way with a little box that has a light-changing surprise for her inside. A beautiful diamond ring, earrings with her favorite gems will help you pick the perfect gift. And when she sees her gift sparkling up at her, well, those red lights at home turn to green. Bechtel Jewelers, Route 11 South, Inwood, will help you turn red lights into green.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time, taking you to 6:30 and Washington Nationals baseball. Along with Matt Crawford, I'm Matt Miller. And thanks to David Welch, co-host in the mornings on Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. As you know, if you've listened to them in the mornings, David, if I get this correct, is the godfather of Reese Hoskins, very close friends with Reese's dad, grew up together out in California. And if you don't recognize the name Reese Hoskins, then you're not a Phillies fan.
Or a baseball fan at any way, shape, or form right now, because it's hard to watch any highlights or know anything about baseball and not know what Reese Hoskins has been doing the last year.
A spectacular young baseball player that has been hitting the cover off of the baseball in a Phillies uniform. And tonight, David is in Philadelphia to see Reese and the family. And he sent us a picture and a quick note to say a little rain in Philly for the Nats game. So the tarp on the field, as he sent us that picture at about 5:50. So hopefully whatever the light rain is will move through the Philadelphia area, and the Phillies and the Nats will get a chance to play tonight as the Nats come off the doubleheader sweep of the Phillies yesterday.
I mean, why wouldn't it be raining? It hasn't stopped raining in
it's the
40 days and 40 nights.
All right, before we jump back into high school football and continue to preview now tomorrow night's matchups as the games this week move from Friday to Thursday, we need to get in our Pick'em segment. So let's go ahead and take a few minutes and do that now. Each week, Matt and I are taking Wednesday in a few minutes to lay out 12 total games, 6 NFL games, and 6 college games. Our goal each week is to do at least the 3 main local teams of interest to us, which would be WVU, Shepherd, and Maryland, as Matt is a Marylander. And then in the NFL, we'll do the Redskins, we'll do the Ravens, and we'll do the Steelers. Plus, we'll then add 3 other random games in each, and we'll pick them and see how it goes through the course of the season. There is a steak dinner on the line. Right now, Matt is licking his lips, ready to enjoy, but we're not there yet. So, Matt Crawford with a 12-5 record, Matt Miller at 7-10. All right, here are the games this week. Start college or NFL?
Starting college.
All right, college. Temple at Maryland.
Maryland.
Mr. Crawford says Maryland, and Mr. Miller will join him in that one. Temple's
You're
gotten
bold
off
writing those in pencil.
to a rough start.
Take a picture of that later, because I don't want you coming in here over the weekend and erasing.
I would never do that. All right, Glenville State at Shepherd.
Shepherd gets the win at home.
Shepherd gets the win at home. I am going to agree with him, so no chance for me to gain any ground on the first 2. This is where it may get interesting. Number 12, LSU at number 7, Auburn.
I was impressed with LSU at the beginning of the season. I think Auburn's playing really well. It's a home game for Auburn. Awful tough to go in to Auburn and get a win. But that's a tough one.
Yeah.
This is one of the more tough decisions I think we've had to make so far in the 3 weeks of the college pick'ems. I'm going to go with LSU. Upset on the road.
LSU, the upset on the road. I'm thinking Auburn. I was leaning, not really leaning either way, to be honest, just looking at that. But I think the home field is what maybe solidifies it for me. Not so much the rankings. But although LSU didn't start their ranking nearly as high as Auburn, so they came on fast with that big win at the beginning of this season. All right, how about number 4, Ohio State at number 15, TCU?
I would love for TCU to win this game. Would love it. But sadly, I think that that Ohio State's going to get the win.
So you're going Ohio State. I'm with you. I'd really like to see TCU do it. And they have some offensive firepower.
They do, but Ohio State's just such a well-rounded football team. And all you hear about the Big 12 is, wow, the offenses are incredible. There's no defense.
Can I think about it while we go to the next game?
You can. You just got to give an answer before we go to the NFL.
All right, number 22, USC at Texas. Been some pretty good games between these two programs. USC didn't do so well in week 1 of our pick'ems, as I took them over Stanford, and they looked really bad. But Texas, hasn't necessarily looked great either. They didn't play bad against Maryland, you know.
I'm going to go with USC.
USC?
Yeah, I was not impressed. I wasn't really impressed with the speed of Texas against Maryland. I thought they just looked slow. And USC's got talented skill players, so I'm going with the Trojans.
The Trojans let me down before, so I'm going with Texas. Just because.
You're hooking them this week?
Yeah.
Hook them horns.
I'm hooking them horns. All right, number 17, Boise State against number 24, Oklahoma State. By the way, you can hear that game right here on Talk Radio WRNR. The pregame is at 3 o'clock on Saturday, since we will not have any Mountaineer coverage with the Mountaineer game at NC State canceled due to the hurricane.
It's just so tough because I don't know anything about Boise State. It's one of those teams that isn't quite West Coast, but it's far enough west you don't see them a lot. Well, you were quick with that one, weren't you?
Oklahoma State all the way.
I'm taking the Cowboys.
All right, so Oklahoma State.
All right, you gotta go with your.
So I still got to go back to, man, I don't know whether to be daring and take TCU to pull. I mean, that's a major upset, a 14 over a 4. And
I wouldn't go to that's an upset, not a major upset.
Well, when it's Ohio State at number 4.
Yeah.
That's pretty big. Ohio State's always in the top 4, it seems like. I'm going Ohio State. I'm going to stick with you.
Remember, though, Urban Meyer still isn't.
Yeah, but whatever. I don't know that matters a whole lot. All right, so we both took Maryland and Shepherd. You took LSU while I took Auburn. We both took Ohio State. You took USC. I took Texas, and we both took Oklahoma State. So only a couple of chances for me to gain some ground there. Let's go to the NFL.
College is where you've been struggling.
Thank you very much. All right, let's go Colts and Redskins. Skins. I am in agreement there.
The offensive line for Indianapolis is atrocious.
Yeah,
the Redskins looked a lot better than I was expecting last week. I don't think week 1 was more the learning curve last week. I think they got right into it last week. So
but the Redskins have struggled at home.
They have, but I still think they're a better team than Indianapolis.
All right.
As long as they can cover T.Y. Hilton, Indianapolis has no other weapons.
Here's a hard one. Ravens, Bengals, Thursday night football. We'll join that in progress tomorrow night following our high school football coverage.
Cincinnati's 1-0.
Yeah.
They beat the Colts, who I don't think are that good. And it took 17 points late to beat the Colts. But the Ravens beat an awful Bills team.
Yes. So you don't know how good the Ravens may be.
I'll still go with the Ravens to get to 2-0.
You're going Ravens?
Yeah.
I'm going Bengals only because it's a home game.
Does that mean much in Cincinnati?
I don't know. We'll find out. Let's go. Chiefs, Steelers. I know where I'm going there. I'm going Steelers because they're not losing 2 in a row to open up the season.
If they can stop Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I think they can.
That's really all you need to do against the Chiefs. Just ask Mike Hornby.
Yeah.
His Chargers got demolished by what they lost to one player last week, not the Chiefs.
The Steelers made a ton of mistakes and still had an opportunity to beat the Browns. I think
I'm going to go with the Steelers as well.
All right. I've talked you into it. All right. Giants, Cowboys. You don't want to pick either one of these as a Redskin fan.
Giants.
Giants.
The Giants looked better last week than the Cowboys did.
Yeah, I agree. Giants. Although the Cowboys are at home. Again, does that mean anything? I don't know. Patriots, Jaguars. Rematch of last year's AFC title tilt.
Patriots.
Not putting stock in that defense of the Jags?
Nah. I think Jalen Ramsey's a loudmouth.
I'm going Jags.
And Tom Brady and Gronk looked so in sync last week.
Yeah, for all those catches that weren't catches. All right, let's go to Philadelphia at Tampa, as, by the way, I did take the Jags there. So, all right, Philly and the Bucks. Tampa looked good in a win, 48 points worth in New Orleans against the Saints, but also gave up 40. Philly won the way Philly wins, ugly, 18-13 over the Falcons.
Who are you taking?
I'm going Bucks.
That's what I was going to. I think the Bucs offense looked really good last week, and I'm not sure how. I mean, the Eagles' defense is good, but I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick threw for over 400 yards last week.
Yeah, but that's Ryan Fitzpatrick, who threw for over 400 yards. The same guy who could come out and throw 4 interceptions and 124 yards.
Yeah, but Nick Foles hasn't looked good in Game 3 of the preseason or Week 1.
And he's likely to start this one from everything I'm reading here.
I'll go with the Yuccaneers.
You're going Yucks too?
Yep.
Wow. All right, so we both took the Skins and the Steelers, the Giants and the Bucks. I went Jags, you went Patriots, I went Bengals, you went Ravens. We'll find out Tuesday how we did with this week's Pick'ems. All right, before we go any further, let's go ahead and go to the Washington Patriots. And then we'll save Jefferson and Hedgesville for our last segment where we can hear from both head coaches together. So the Washington Patriots are at Heritage, which is the Pride. They're in Leesburg, Virginia.
The pride of what?
Lions, like
the Pride of Lions.
I guess a group of lions is a pride.
I know, I'm just messing with you.
And so, come on, didn't you watch The Circle of Life or whatever that movie was?
Lion King?
Lion King, yeah, that's the one.
Are you aching?
For some bacon? Yup.
He's a big pig.
You can be a big pig, too.
Oh.
All right, we might have to play that, although I think we just did a pretty good rendition ourselves. Washington looking for their first win. Heritage coming off of their first loss last week. Let's hear from Washington head coach Glenn Simpson. You talked with him earlier today. Lead in.
I did. I just got it started with a tough loss last week, which, speaking of special teams blunders earlier in the show, that was the reason they lost last week, was 4 consecutive kick returns.
It was a tough loss, but I tell you, the effort that these young men put out was tremendous. I saw a lot of growth from the first 2 weeks going into last week, and I was really proud of the way the kids hung in there and fought. Now, naturally, we had some issues with our kick return, but that was, it's kind of hard when you can't field a kickoff return. Have balls shaped awful funny, and it takes some weird bounces and some weird hops, and I've only seen that thing happen one other time, and that was my first year here at Washington playing Jefferson the last week of the year. And once your return team gets the yips, it's difficult to get back out of.
Take us through 4 straight kickoffs that had that sort of flair to it. Was it just bad bounces that went the other team's way?
Well, it was a lot of things. We had one of our up guys got hit. The ball was just screaming at him, and it bounced off of him. We had a ball make it to the second line, take a big hop, and the return guy couldn't squeeze it, and ended up giving possession back to Millbrook. We had one where a young man who has been, he's been one of the best players on his team his whole life playing football, and has been on kickoff forever, just inexplicably, got away from it like it was a punt, and Millbrook, of course, ran down and recovered. So it was a snowball effect. One bad bounce led to another, and not something I anticipated seeing our kids go through the rest of the year. But that was certainly an interesting series of events.
A short week this week because of the weather that's projected for Friday. Do you think you have a little bit of an advantage over Heritage because you have a short week in the books already after week 1?
Well, I think, we've worked a short week, but in week 1, we had time to prepare. Our preparation for Hedgesville, we were able to start that a little earlier than a normal game week. Heritage, the fact that we're on the road and they get the home field advantage. I don't know that we necessarily get an advantage from the short week. I'm excited to get this game in the books, though. I think Heritage poses some unique challenges, some challenges that we haven't seen yet this year, and I'm looking forward to see how our boys react from last week and taking another step on this growth curve.
A younger team this year than you had last year. What can you take away from that very competitive game against Heritage last year?
Well, from last year, I think we earned a little bit of respect against Heritage. I think it was that Heritage game that actually really gave our team confidence that we would see fruit in the win column. That we could see things were starting to make sense, and we were starting to grow in certain areas, and we were not making mistakes that had plagued us earlier in the year and the year before. So, it's hard for a young team like ours to really build off of last year's game against Heritage. But I think the effort that was displayed against Millbrook, minus the return errors, I think it gives us some confidence that we're going to continue that same path.
Well, Coach, thanks for the time. Good luck tomorrow night, and look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you very much.
Glenn Simpson, head coach of the Washington Patriots. Last year when these teams met, Heritage got the victory in a relatively tight game, 29-15. Let's see if this is one of those games where Washington can put things together.
And that's why I asked him that last question. How do you kind of use what happened last year in that tight game? And like he said, that kind of propelled them later on in the season, knowing they can win ball games. They ended up winning 3 or 4 down the stretch to end the season out. So I was just kind of curious, with a younger team, not a lot of returners from last year that was on that squad, I just was wondering how he could possibly relay that, hey, it was a close game last year, and it kind of turned our season around, even though it was a loss.
Heritage coming off of a loss their last time out, so maybe they're vulnerable. That game down in Leesburg, 6 o'clock on Thursday evening. Our last game to talk about, Jefferson at Hedgesville, also Thursday night at 6, and we'll hear from both head coaches when we come back on Miller Time.
Once upon a time, there was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch-style house.
Check me out. 3,000 square feet, 2-car garage.
For weeks, it waited.
Come on, people. I've got a pool and an updated kitchen.
For just the right family.
Nobody wants me.
One day, the realtor advertised the lonely ranch with Homes and Land.
Well, that was my idea, by the way.
Homes and Land magazine makes finding the right house easy, with hundreds of property listings, full-color photos, and detailed descriptions. And at homesandland.com, all it took was a few clicks for a family to find the perfect updated ranch.
And we all lived happily ever after.
The perfect house is out there. Homes and Land can help you find it. For a free copy of the magazine, call 1-800-277-7800 or visit homesandland.com.
Talk to your realtor today about Homes and Land of the Eastern Panhandle or phone 304-579-8510.
The Brown Funeral Home is hosting a charity golf tournament Friday, September 21 at the Woods Golf Course. It's the second annual Operation Rec for Vets, with 100% of the proceeds and donations going to the veteran men and women at our local VA hospital. The goal is to raise money for the recreational needs of the veterans that benefit the programs that the hospital provides. The tournament tees off at 10 a.m. at the Woods Golf Course in Hedgesville, with food provided by Chick-fil-A and dinner catered by the Woods. To be a sponsor, make a donation, or to register to play, call 304-263-8896. Are you looking for a full-service web design company right here in the Eastern Panhandle? Then look no further than Pro Design LLC, specializing in web design and development, web hosting, and application development. Pro Design is a locally owned company serving local clients since 1997 with a reputation of quality, creativity, and personal touch. Let Pro Design build or redesign your dream website. Find them online at professionaldesign.com or phone 304-676-9940. EPTA invites you to take advantage of their rider programs, the $5 all-day pass, the monthly pass, and the Get a Job, Get a Ride program. Visit EPTAWV.com for further details and come ride with us. This message brought to you by EPTA, the Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority. For schedules and rider information, visit EPTAWV.com. EPTA serves Berkeley and Jefferson counties.
Take the bus, come ride with us.
Wow! If you're hungry for a hunk of fat and juicy meat, eat my buddy Pumper here because the answer's treat. Coming down a dine, on a Stacy's wine, all you have to do is get in line. Ah, you ain't
Yup, yup, yup.
for some bacon.
Yup, yup, yup.
He's a big pig.
Yup, yup.
You can be a big pig, too.
And with that, we welcome you back into Miller Time. I thought we did a pretty good rendition of that earlier.
We did.
We did. All right, let's jump into our last high school game to be played on Thursday night. It's Jefferson at Hedgesville. The Cougars, like the Patriots, still looking for their first win this season. So both schools in Jefferson County going through a little bit of a rough patch. Jefferson coming off that 22-0 loss against Musselman last week. Had some opportunities, but just can't get a break. That's what we hear from Jefferson head coach Craig Hunter.
We keep fighting. I mean, we just can't get anything right now to bounce away. Nothing seems to really go in our favor. I mean, balls that were going on the ground for them seem like they fell right in front of them. You know, balls that were on the ground for us, you either go to the legs or do something else differently, snap over the punter's head. It just seems like we just need something, a big break to go our way to get over the hump a little bit. And we just haven't had one of those happen yet. And, of course, last week's game, plus, the conditions were terrible for both teams. But with that being said, we're a team that likes to do a mixture of both, a little 50-50 or maybe 60-40. We like to throw the ball a little bit, and we couldn't throw the ball at all in the conditions we had last Saturday. So, that kind of took out of our game plan what we were actually going to try to do.
Those conditions don't look to be a whole lot better this week. What is the challenge in being ready to play at Hedgesville on short notice now, as this game will be a Thursday night?
Just trying to get prepared for everything they're going to throw at us. They're going to give us a whole bunch of different formations. He's going to try to get the ball to Malachi, Najir, plus I don't know the quarterbacks. I can't remember the quarterback's name, but they like to run him a lot now. So just trying to make sure we're prepared for all that, keeping him in the pocket, making sure we have, at least when we get Malachi and Niger in space to be able to close in on them and make open field tackles on them so they can't, make short catches and the big runs. That's pretty much the main thing, and then try to figure out what we can do to, move the ball against them and make sure we can run the ball, try to run the ball, and hopefully be able to throw the ball. Since the game's on Thursday, hopefully the rain's not going to come that hard on Thursday night as it would be on Friday night. So, just trying to get things together, and like you said, on short notice, get ready to go to work today to put the game plan in order so we can try to do something. I guess this week now we'll definitely try to concentrate on working, throwing a wet ball and seeing how that goes.
How well do you feel you match up as far as the athlete versus athlete?
I feel we kind of match up pretty well. They have, like I said, they have Najir and Malachi were their two main athletes. I think we match up pretty well. I mean, they're exceptional athletes, but I think a collection of our guys covering them and being able to do some things, I think we'll be fine in the matchup aspect of things.
Coach, thank you for your time. Have a good game, and we'll talk next week.
All right, thank you.
So we hear from Craig Hunter. They've got some talent on that team. Now, they have played a very tough early schedule. When you look at the teams that in this first 4 weeks all made the playoffs last year in their respective states, and that includes Hedgesville coming up.
Yeah, it's not a good, easy start to the season, but if you're a good team, you got to figure out how to get closer and closer in these games. And they did have a fighting chance against Millbrook. That was a decent game, and we're only lost to Musselman 22-0, so they're getting better, but still 14 in a row is tough to swallow for a team that 2 years ago was in the playoffs.
Hedgesville 2-1, coming off a win at Mountain Ridge last week. Head coach Joey Urish.
It was a great outcome for us because we went down there expecting the game to start at 7:30 and got off the bus, and by the time we got dressed, we had 22 minutes to get ready to play the game. They started the game at 7, so our kids had their back against the wall again right off the jump, and they came out and handled themselves really well, and defensively, that's probably the best game we've had in 2.5 years.
Looking ahead to this week, Jefferson coming to town, how do you instill in your players that even though Jefferson's been in a rough patch, it's still one of those games you have to go out and give 110%?
Yeah, I mean, it's a local school. It's a rivalry school. It's an EPAC school. And Craig's done a good job over there with those guys. I used to coach those guys, so they always, like to talk crap to me and tell me how they're going to beat me. And so it kind of adds a little bit of character to the game. And our guys face them all summer long at 7-on-7. So it's always a hostile environment when we get those two teams together. And it'll be exciting to see, how they both handle the rain and the sloppy conditions. And, Jefferson had to deal with it last week, so we'll see how we handle it this week.
Is it good to have some familiarity when you consider that this week just became a lot shorter? You're playing Thursday night instead of Friday night, so that cuts into your prep time?
We're used to that by now. We've played at least 2 Thursday games since I've been here, and our guys are used to the short week. And what stinks right now is everybody's sick, so we got that going around, and then a short week, so it kind of makes a challenge. But we are used to playing on Thursdays, so it's not too much of a change for us.
Do you think that's a little bit of an advantage that you have over Jefferson, especially since you have one under your belt already this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it definitely helps us out a little bit because we've been there before. We know, today is our pride day, and then Wednesday we'll go into a walkthrough situation. And Jefferson's used to having those 2 days, so it's a lot harder to cram everything in on one day, especially with the weather being the way it is.
How much fun is this matchup? Jefferson is known throughout the years traditionally as an athletic team, and your team full of athletes right now. This has the makings of being a real fun type of game.
Yeah, I mean, Craig and I know each other pretty well, and we've coached together. We played, we've coached against each other, so we have an idea of what we want to do. What's cool about it is it's going to be raining and sloppy conditions, so what we want to do is throw the ball all over the place, but we're not going to be able to do that. So it's about making adjustments and giving our guys the best ability to be successful. So hopefully we're able to do that a little better than they are.
3 weeks down in your season now, how do you judge where your team is at this point in the season?
We're not where we expected to be. Honestly, we expected to be 3-0, and, that was kind of on us a little bit. So overall, we're not too upset where we're at. We haven't had any major injuries. We've had a couple guys banged up here and there, but to come out of those 3 weeks healthy has been a blessing to us because we don't have a lot of people to begin with. So hopefully we continue to stay healthy, and our defense keeps playing the way that they are, and offensively we should keep making strides.
Well, Coach, we wish you the best on Thursday night. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Hedgesville head coach Joey Urich. So Thursday night, Martinsburg at Spring Mills. Kickoff at 6, our pregame at 5. Scoring updates from Jefferson at Hedgesville, Washington at Heritage. Musselman is off. That does it, Matt. We're done with today's Miller Time.
Have fun at the game tomorrow. Remember, no Miller Time. We'll be back here Friday.
All right, time now for Washington Nationals baseball on Talk Radio WRNR.
Ball is back in Washington, D.C.
3 consecutive home runs here in the 3rd inning. And Ryan Zimmerman swings and launches one to deep left center field. This one's way back. Is it high?